You've got to love yourself a fire. One of those small little blessings that really does mean a lot in the short term of life. Oof. Though unpredictable, I say a fire is a great form of entertainment. Have some friends over, pop some brewskis. Hopefully it doesn't fan in your face. Nowadays it's a novelty and sometimes an annoyance. But not terribly long ago, in the grand scheme of things, fire was the only thing keeping us humans alive. We're a little too far removed from that type of life that we really can't comprehend what that was like unless we try intentionally. Most of us don't want a rough backpack like the outdoor boys. Ooh! Most of us don't want a rough backpack like the outdoor boys, so we have to find some other ways to remind us of what our past was like. For me and many other people, that is usually the media we consume. The movies we watch, or, like today's topic, the video games we play. Far Cry Primal is one of those games. This game opens by beginning when it came out in 2016, and going way back in this very artful fashion. I always found this way of presenting this information very impactful. You really see everything that humanity has went through, and watch it all get washed away. The loading screens, pause screens, main menu all have this cave design. I'm a big fan of this design. It really kind of puts you into that perspective of the caveman. Everything that you see is not going to be written down. It's going to be a cave painting or something else. Maybe even forgotten entirely. After a little bit of exposition, we are put into the shoes of Takar, the Winja tribesman. He and his compatriots are trying to hunt and kill a mammoth. This part of the game is rather different than the rest of the gameplay. It's all very slow and deliberate, and it kind of shows you some of the tactics that the actual early men employed to try to kill their large prey. It is really one of the highlights of the game. I hate to say that because it's the opening, but it really does draw you into the atmosphere. And everything does go well in this hunt, until... Just as you think you are successful in your hunt, it's all stripped away. That's the push and pull of nature for you. Now you're charged to find the land of Oros and try to reunite with some Winja. This is going to be difficult with the saber-toothed tiger hunting us. After thugging it out, we finally harvest enough materials for a bow. Most weapons in this game have a little animation once you craft them. Really shows the ingenuity that went into these simple weapons. After making our way through some caves, we meet up with this chick Sayla. She's got a thing for ears. Uh-oh. Takar and his new friend narrowly escape, finally making it to that land, Oros. This is a slight moment of comfort, but there is still much to be done. So, you get chased by a saber-toothed tiger, and now you're in the new land that you hardly understand. This is what we writers like to call a blank slate setup. Now, pretty much every open world game has some sort of blank slate opening, but I feel like it's a little bit more weighty in Far Cry Primal. Instead of having some immediate connections, you only have the ear girl, and I don't know if I trust her all the way. So, what you have to do from there is just kind of thug it out. Every material in this game you have to harvest by your own hands or pick off the dead. So it really is a blank slate because you have to start from the bottom and work your way up the old-fashioned way. Sayla brings us to this nice little cave system she's been staying in. This will become the foundation for the Wenja village when you build it up yourself. First things first, we gotta find all the Wenja. It is at this point that we are finally able to take the reins and control what Takar does. From here you can pretty much do anything, but me personally, I like to go through the actual narrative before I do anything else. And now it is time to both harvest some materials as well as dispatch some hostile humans. We call these folks the Udam tribe. More on them later on. The threats this time around are also immediate. You have wild animals coming at you from every which way. I had many instances where I couldn't fast travel because me and a tribe of Wenja were being attacked from all sides. You got the Udam, and they are some baddies. You can tell just by their designs that they mean business and they want to eat you. With the introduction of the Udam tribe, the need to gather all the Wenja in a stronghold is greater than ever. So, naturally, Takar is set out to go and find his people. Let's start out with the shaman. Entering this dank cave, we find this crazy dude dancing around. This, oddly enough, is our religious leader, Tensei. Absolutely crazy looking dude. What's the first thing he does? That's right, offers us some walk. Oh yeah, it's a Far Cry game. Buckle in, boys. Also, a little side note, this looks nasty. Oh man, I know it was like prehistorical and before they knew what germs were, but man, this has to be ringing some alarm bells in your mind, doesn't it? Whatever, let's start tripping. We're opening up our third eye in the vision of the beasts. Very vibrant, very colorful. I am personally a big fan of these sequences. And look at who we have here, Mr. Owl. And he seems thrilled to see us. And now it's time to fly, eagles fly. Yeah, this segment is pretty repetitive on replay. It's fun to watch something going on in your own mind, so I kinda give it the pass. Plus it doesn't really overstay its welcome. Finally, after Ubisoft makes it readily apparent that they are on the side of the stoned ape theory, we make it to the end. And finally catch up with our boy Mr. Owl. Press square to tame, baby. Now he's our eyes in the sky. I mean eye in the sky literally this time, because in this game, our camera is replaced by the owl. It operates in a similar way. You tag enemies, get to plan out your attacks before you make them, but there are a few special details about the owl. You can make attacks on your own, and you can even drop bombs with the right perks and power-ups. Love that. So the owl is only the beginning for these beasts. Immediately after, you go and find yourself a white wolf. And that's just the start. From there on, you're able to tame pretty much whatever after enough time, even saber-toothed tigers. This is a great way to tip the scales of combat, and I think it's responsible for can you pet the animal in the game trend that kind of took everything over for a few years there. And I mean, why wouldn't you want to pet it, you know? Later on in the game, you even get some legendary hunts where you go into little subsections of the map and tame some wild animals. These things are pretty cool, and they add some level of scaling to the whole system. Despite all this colorful wrapping paper, it is at the end of the day a Far Cry game, so the basis of the gameplay is getting really strong and taking on outposts. I personally had some good fun taking care of these things because the perks that I chose fit my playstyle very well. There's a lot of mechanics within these outposts that you can utilize to your advantage. They always have a rabid wolf caged up or something that you can use against them. It's just some good old-fashioned Far Cry fun. And this time, it's up close and personal because the longest range weapon you have is a bow and arrow. And that goes dually for the enemies as well. They are all running at you, sometimes even on all fours, which is crazy. And that's how the story goes for a good while. You slice up the bad guys, and you take over outposts and light some bonfires. Nice and easy gameplay, and everything is going well, right up until... It's a full frontal attack by the Udam, led by none other than their leader. Ooh. Yeah, he's got a freaky character design. He's bigger, stronger, and he's been through a lot more than Takar has. Definitely a lead by example type of leader for the Udam. After a Pyrrhic victory for the Wenja, it is now more apparent than ever that these Udam need to be dealt with and quickly. So the best thing to do at this time is to find your specialized Wenja and learn everything they know. Come together or fall apart. Naturally, my first instinct is to go to Wuga, the resident Wenja craftsman, in order to get his very nifty tool of the grappling hook. I found this an absolute necessity to have. I also found Karush, the warrior, for takedown perks. Now, there's more characters that you can hang out with, and they all have some pretty in-depth missions that you can encounter. They're not very incidental to the story, and these characters all together don't really add much flavor to the soup. But they are valuable mission givers and allow you to unlock different perks. Personality-wise, they're all pretty damn kooky, but this game is all kooky, so it kind of fits in. I don't know, this was before manners existed. I'd also like to mention that for some reason, recurring character Herc is in this game. And it's not technically Herc, but just look at his character design. Wait, that's Herc. And he has a lot of missions that you complete for him, and it's kind of strange because they all end up like this. Yeah, a lot of filler. Okay, so the Udam live up in the north, and if any of you live up in the north, you'd know one thing. It's cold. So to counteract this, you have to either light some fire or put on some warmer clothes. And no, I'm not just talking to match the aesthetic like other games would. There is an actual cold meter that this game gives you. If that thing goes down to 0, it's bad news bears, so you gotta watch it. Feels good though. Once again, we drink some suspicious fluid. This time with the eyeballs of the Udam.
Like a frat boy taking shrooms for the first time, we are trying to learn some empathy. Let's see what we can learn about the Udam. What makes them tick? It's the vision of ice we see within the Udam mindset. It's a very desolate life. The Udam are sick. They're fearful. Something is definitely wrong. We approach Ul and see he is bracing us from something. Also, the way he braces is rather humorous. He does a little dance with it. It turns out, this is a fertility idol. So I guess the population is decreasing and the Udam are becoming self-destructive because they're young or sickly. Kind of gameplay. And it's a fun little change of pace, but nothing really worth mentioning. As we finish our fight in the vision, we take one final turn towards the fertility statue and break it once and for all. Why do we keep dying? Ul asks. This is a very tragic tale for the Udam tribe. It doesn't necessarily justify their horrible behavior towards the Wenja, but you can understand the hardship that this tribe had to be going through in order to turn to such measures. This also lines up pretty well with some theories regarding the Neanderthals that the Udam tribe are unmistakably based off of. Just something to think about. Eventually, we finally make it to the entry of the Udam homeland, called the Big Darwa Fort. We capture a high-level commander and take him back with us. This is Da, and his inclusion in the game makes it a pretty cool tie-in to the fact that humans survive because they learn from other peoples. But now we can go to the Udam homeland. We just need to pick some rare flowers and we can get cracking. Just stop back at our home village real quick. Upon arriving back to the village, we're met by this horror. A horribly wounded man. He's been burned and enslaved by this new tribe called the Izila. From this point on, the Izila are an equal threat to the Udam, and the player may choose to encounter one or the other, depending on whatever they feel. I won't get into the Izila yet, but what I will do is get some revenge for this poor bastard. We find our way into the Izila base and see that they take prisoners from all sides, even the Udam. No enemy of my enemy in this situation. Nothing we can do for this poor bastard now. Let's keep going. Maybe we can avenge everybody. This begins by putting some arrows in necks, thinning out the herd, so we can eventually burn it all out. The Izila are fire wielders, and what better way to fight fire than with fire? Burn the whole place down. Just as we think we've succeeded in our arson, we are ambushed. Meet Batari, the woman deity of the Izila. They claim her to be daughter of the sun, and she wants to give us a warm welcome. Thankfully, we're able to fight our way out of this situation, but trust me, we'll be back for more of the Izila.
So one of the biggest pull factors I always felt towards Far Cry was its catalog of villains. You had Voss and Hoyt in Far Cry 3. I hear a lot of good things about the Jackal in Far Cry 2. Even the Seed family in Far Cry 5. All great villains in my opinion. You'd expect a Far Cry game to kind of keep this up, because that's kind of the main draw. The villain is always on the cover. Now you may notice about this cover, it's a little different. It features the wildlife and the mane. These villains, while they are cool conceptually and represent their factions well, aren't exactly memorable in their own right. This is kind of a difference from what I expect, but it's kind of cool seeing the villains take a backseat. Well, I would prefer the villains to be a little bit more front and center like they are in the regular games. I do understand why this is happening. First of all, the language that they speak is not very expressive. You can get the point across, but this game thrives on environmental storytelling. And also, you can't really have a fucked up villain if the tribes themselves are doing some fucked up shit, like eating people.
After getting captured by Ull and making it out again, I unfortunately forgot to get footage for that. Nothing very important happened aside from Ull showing you his daughter. We'll get to her later. We finally make it up to the Udam homeland. And what is so striking to me about this homeland is that it has all the telltale features of the Udam outposts. All the bones and stuff. That's all you see. I thought those were the outposts of men. There are no women or children here. It's complete disrepair. You get signs of what once was, but you don't really see any organization until you make it to Ull's cave. Upon finally reaching the caves, you don't see hardened men preparing for battle. You see worshippers, people trying to find some solace in their suffering. It's truly jarring to see. This fertility idol is carved everywhere into the walls, meaning they've been hoping for a miracle for a long time, and unfortunately for the Udam, it doesn't seem like that miracle's coming. The best thing to do for them now is to put this tribe out of their misery. Time for their leader Ull to go. I'm gonna keep it a buck. This fight against Ull gave me some trouble. He has so much health and does so much damage when one of his hits lands that I found myself healing my animal a lot and restarting a considerable amount of times. But we eventually got him. And when we get him, we see this. Ull attempts to revert into his brutish ways, but sees his daughter close by, realizes that he can no longer sustain this. If the Udam must live, they must take on a different life, a more peaceful one like the Wenja. Because of this, Ull charges Takar with protecting his children. A last hope for the Udam tribe to thrive in a different fashion. Maybe that's why some people have Neanderthal DNA.
That is a pretty good conclusion, but we're only halfway done. Far Cry Primal is a game of ice and fire. We shared the ice up north, now it's time to go down south and snuff out that fire.
One more vision, this time regarding the Azila. They are all similarly fearful to the Udam, but not for their own lives. They're afraid of something else. The fire they bear so dearly, in the form of this mask they call Krati. And in this vision, we become Krati. We take the lives of many Azila, and while doing so, we take shots at the sun during an eclipse, until finally, we shatter the sun entirely, and put the Azila into a religious frenzy.
Everything you see has this imagery of the sun and the fire. As the Wenja and the Udon tribes saw fire as this means of life, the Izila thought that fire was their personal destroyer. They worship it and do its bidding. And as we all know, a fire left uncontrolled has bidding of destroying everything.
With our newfound information, we make our way to the Mask of Krati. We steal it, narrowly evading the grips of Batari, who has been trying to kill us every step of this way. With the mask in hand, we are able to finally take it to the Azila. We burst into their homeland. Wearing this mask, we are unstoppable. We are everything they fear. And there is no stopping us. Until we meet Batari for one last time. Once again, there is yet another challenging boss fight. Batari is your regular Annie Oakley. She can snipe you from really far away, and she does a lot of damage. Best way to do it is to tuck tail and just wait for her to expose herself. Giggity. Eventually, we do defeat her though, and we show her how warm of an individual she really can be.
And so, we finally dispatch both our threats. Now, Oros is free for the hippie Wenja tribe, and now we have the obligation to find all those little shiny collectibles. I never collect them all though. If you like that 100% by your game completion, I guess go get them, but they give you some XP, but that's about all you're really going for. So that's the breakdown of the narrative. Now on my opinions of the gameplay. Did I enjoy this game? Yes, I did. I felt a particular draw to the landscapes in this game. They both looked familiar, but just foreign enough for you to know that they're in a different time period. I also like how they executed all the animals. Some of the big cats only came out at night. You could only ride the little mammoths. The big mammoths wouldn't put up with your shit. It's all very cool. Something I do note about this game is kind of integral to all Far Cry games is that they use a lot of assets from previous games. So when you're climbing up a vine, that's Jason Brody doing it, not Takar. And when you're using that grappling hook, that's AJ Gale. I mean, it's all the previous games. I actually got a side to side of the map to show you here. And you know, it's pretty damn familiar. It doesn't feel exactly like Far Cry 4 does, but you can kind of see that they took a few shortcuts. And if they were resurrecting a new language, I kind of understand why they were doing that. Okay, so for one last criticism, this is kind of a mild one, but a nagging criticism I have about this game is that getting across the elevation is not fun at all. I rushed to get the grappling hook first because I knew I needed it, but even then, there were just some mountains that I couldn't scale, and they were in places that made it so difficult to access some outposts or some points of interest. The Far Cry 4 was built around the wingsuit and the helicopter. You don't have none of that. Now, I'm not saying that I want the dude in Far Cry Primal to have a wingsuit. That's stupid. But I wish they made it a little bit less mountainous, if you get my drift. But that's just me bitching about something in the game that I could choose to do in a different way. Now, when I came back to this game, I was understanding that this was just collecting dust in one of my cabinets, so I may as well just pop it in and see if I still enjoy it. It was an astounding yes, and I urge all of you folks out there that if you're looking for a game to try, an Ubisoft game on sale or something, maybe pick up Far Cry Primal. It might surprise you. But I think that's all for today. I'm K-Dog, and y'all stay cool.